Gibbs's return to NCIS seems off the table, at least for now. For nearly 2 decades, Leroy Jethro Gibbs wasn't simply the face of NCIS. He was the heartbeat of the entire franchise, stoic, fiercely loyal, endlessly resourceful, and armed with a seemingly infinite supply of rules. Gibbs became one of television's most beloved law enforcement characters. Even after stepping away from the flagship series, fans never truly stopped believing that one day he would walk back through those familiar Navy Yard doors. But as NCIS continues moving forward into a new era, that long-hoped-for comeback appears increasingly unlikely, at least for the immediate future. And for longtime viewers, that's a difficult reality to accept. When Mark Harmon exited NCIS during season 19, it marked one of the biggest turning points in the history of the procedural drama. Harmon had anchored the series since its 2003 debut, appearing in hundreds of episodes and helping transform NCIS into one of the most successful television franchises ever created. Gibbs's departure was carefully crafted. Rather than killing the character off, an option many expected, the writers chose something far more reflective of the man audiences had known for years. After solving a dangerous case in Alaska, Gibbs realized he had finally found something that had eluded him for decades: peace. For a man haunted by the murders of his wife Shannon and daughter Kelly, peace represented the ultimate ending. "I can't remember the last time I wasn't looking over my shoulder," Gibbs admitted in his farewell episode. It was a profoundly emotional moment because fans understood exactly what it meant. Gibbs wasn't running away. He wasn't forced out. He was choosing happiness. That decision gave the character closure, while simultaneously leaving the door open for future appearances. Or so fans believed. Ever since Gibbs settled in Alaska, speculation regarding his return has remained constant. Every new season announcement triggers renewed excitement. Every casting update reignites rumors. Every interview involving Mark Harmon generates fresh headlines. Yet season after season, Gibbs remains absent. The possibility of a surprise return always exists in television, especially in a franchise as interconnected as NCIS. However, recent developments suggest producers are in no rush to bring Gibbs back to the flagship series. Instead, the show appears focused on solidifying its current ensemble. Special Agent Alden Parker, played by Gary Cole, has firmly established himself as the team's leader. Jessica Knight, Nick Torres, Timothy McGee, Casey Hines, Jimmy Palmer, and the rest of the squad have evolved into a cohesive unit with their own chemistry and storytelling rhythms. In many ways, NCIS has successfully reinvented itself, and that success may ironically make a Gibbs return less necessary. While Mark Harmon may no longer appear on-screen regularly, his connection to the franchise remains significant. Harmon continues serving as an executive producer and remains deeply involved behind the scenes. More importantly, the expansion of the franchise has allowed him to explore Gibbs from an entirely different perspective. With NCIS Origins delving into the early years of Leroy Jethro Gibbs, Harmon has shifted from portraying the veteran team leader to helping shape the character's foundational story. Rather than physically returning to the flagship series, Harmon has become a guiding creative force. His narration in Origins ensures that Gibbs's presence still looms large across the franchise, even if audiences never see him leading investigations at the Navy Yard. For some fans, that may not be enough. But for others, hearing Harmon's unmistakable voice once again has provided a comforting bridge between the franchise's past and future. Television reunions often sound easier in theory than in practice. Bringing Gibbs back isn't simply a matter of writing him into an episode. The creative team would first need to answer several important questions. Why would Gibbs leave Alaska? What circumstances could realistically pull him away from the peace he fought so hard to achieve? How long would he stay? Most importantly, would a return undermine the emotional significance of his farewell? These questions carry substantial weight. Gibbs's exit resonated because it felt earned. For years, viewers watched him shoulder unimaginable trauma while dedicating himself entirely to his work. The Alaska ending suggested that, finally, he had found healing. Reversing that journey solely for nostalgia risks diminishing one of the series' strongest emotional conclusions. Writers must carefully balance fan service against character integrity, and so far, preserving Gibbs's hard-won peace appears to be taking priority. When Gary Cole first joined NCIS, comparisons to Gibbs were inevitable. Many fans wondered whether anyone could possibly replace Mark Harmon. The answer, ultimately, was that Parker never tried. Instead of creating Gibbs 2.0, the series introduced an entirely different leader. Parker is approachable where Gibbs was intimidating. He prefers conversation over silence. He often relies on humor rather than stern authority. Most importantly, Parker leads in his own distinctive style. Over time, audiences embrace these differences. The transition wasn't immediate, but it proved successful. Now entering another season, NCIS has firmly established its post-Gibbs identity. Reintroducing Gibbs, even briefly, could unintentionally disrupt that dynamic. Writers would need to ensure that a guest appearance enhances the current team rather than overshadowing it. Given Harmon's legendary status, that's easier said than done. Despite mounting evidence that a return isn't imminent, fans remain remarkably optimistic. Social media discussions regularly feature theories predicting surprise appearances. Some viewers imagine Gibbs returning for a major crisis. Others envision a heartfelt reunion with McGee. Still others speculate that a milestone episode, perhaps a series finale, would provide the perfect opportunity. After all, television history is filled with unexpected comebacks. Characters once believed gone forever have returned years later. Actors have repeatedly surprised audiences with secret appearances. In the world of television, never say never remains an unofficial rule. And because Gibbs is still alive within the NCIS universe, hope persists. If Gibbs does eventually return, one reunion tops virtually every fan wish list: Timothy McGee. Sean Murray's character evolved from an inexperienced probationary agent into a respected senior investigator largely under Gibbs's mentorship. Their relationship became one of the emotional cornerstones of the series. Over the years, Gibbs challenged McGee, protected him, disciplined him, and ultimately treated him like family. A reunion between the two men would almost certainly deliver one of the franchise's most emotional scenes. Imagine McGee unexpectedly seeing Gibbs walk back into headquarters. No dramatic music, no explosions. Just a quiet exchange. "Welcome back, boss." Sometimes the simplest moments carry the greatest impact. If Gibbs eventually returns, it may not happen during an ordinary standalone episode. Instead, the franchise could reserve his comeback for a truly significant event. Potential possibilities include a major crossover involving multiple NCIS series, a milestone celebration episode, the flagship show's eventual series finale, a farewell storyline for another legacy character, a franchise-wide crisis demanding Gibbs's expertise. Such events would justify the character's return while preserving the importance of his original exit. Importantly, they would also allow fans to celebrate Gibbs without permanently undoing his ending. A short appearance could provide closure, nostalgia, and emotional resonance simultaneously. Whether Gibbs returns or not, his influence on NCIS remains undeniable. His rules continue guiding agents. His lessons still shape McGee and others. His leadership philosophy remains embedded in the team's culture. Even characters who never worked extensively with Gibbs frequently reference him. That's the hallmark of a truly iconic television character. Gibbs no longer needs to physically appear in every episode because his presence is woven into the DNA of the series itself. In many respects, he never actually left. Not necessarily. Television history suggests otherwise. Mark Harmon himself has never completely closed the door on future appearances, and producers understand the enormous excitement a Gibbs comeback would generate. However, current indications suggest that such a return isn't part of the immediate plans. For now, Gibbs remains exactly where fans last saw him, in Alaska, enjoying the peace he spent a lifetime seeking. That may disappoint viewers hoping for an imminent reunion, yet it also honors the character's journey. After years of sacrifice, heartbreak, and relentless dedication, Perhaps Gibbs deserves to remain off the grid a little longer. The door isn't locked. But for now, it certainly appears closed. And until circumstances change, fans may have to settle for memories, reruns, and the enduring legacy of the man who built NCIS into a television phenomenon. Because even in absence, Leroy Jethro Gibbs continues to cast an enormous shadow over the franchise he helped create. Thank you for watching. Write what you think about it. Subscribe to the channel.